You're listening to Nick Luck Daily. This edition is brought to you by Timeform, your trusted source for racing data and analysis. By Total Performance Data, the global leader in live horse racing data. This edition is also brought to you by FitzDares, laying some of the world's largest sporting wagers since 1882. Good morning, welcome to the show. It is Friday the 13th of March, but don't worry, it's not a horror show. The sun's shining over Cleve Hill, and this is Boodle's Cheltenham Gold Cup Day. Lydia is with me today. I've waited all week for you. Here you are.
Thank you, and you've brought me to treating me in the manner to which I'm accustomed.
I should say Charlotte has arranged it for us.
I know.
That we are in the box of Bridget Hanbury, Treamore stud, and even the flowers are in the Hanbury racing silks.
It'll be fair weather.
Quite something, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's lovely.
Really beautiful spot here, overlooking a racecourse that is actually bathed in more sunshine than it has been all week. It's going to be cold this afternoon, but I think it'll be nicer than yesterday.
Yes, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. When the rain was coming in sideways just before the first, I thought, oh no, we're going to be in for a really horrible one. But it really wasn't that cold,
Not too bad. It's been a great week. There's been some wonderful results, some super racing, lots of positives. There's also been a lot of scratchiness. It's been the Scratchy Festival.
You're downplaying it. I mean, there's been a lot of short tempers.
Aggro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think it's just that it's just two degrees too cold for people to be cheery?
I think it's a high pressure event, isn't it? And when expectations when your expectations don't meet, then I think that you can sometimes look for excuses. You're obviously not necessarily your best self. The other thing we should say is there's not much sleep that goes on during this because you are. I mean, particularly if you're a trainer, you'll be burning the candle at both ends in that you'll be up very early with your horses, you'll be at the races dealing with the day and the owners, and in the evening, presumably, you're having to do some entertaining as well. It must be really, really hard. I imagine you're surviving on a small amount of sleep, and that's probably not good for keeping your temper in the moment.
OK, so I don't know where we're going to put each incident in the scratchy charts, but somewhere near the top is and actually the most serious one, I think, is the row that has brewed up over the state of the ground over the last 24 hours, which was the cause of fact to file coming out quite soon before the Ryanair chase yesterday, for which he had been a heavy favourite for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. What did you make of all that?
Well, the drums were kind of beating that from a long way out, weren't they? Even from the moment that John Bond was in the race, you're starting to think, well, what is that all about? It's partly presumably that John Bond was in great form, but also was it a sort of backup position? Because if you were JP McManus and looking for a backup position, you'd be more likely to be looking at Mashborough, logically, I would have thought, for the champion chase than necessarily at Factor File for the Ryanair, given the manner of his victory. But in retrospect, they blamed the ground for his King George run, and I can see that he was never going, and it was good ground there. That's Dan Barber pouring himself a cup of tea, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
not pouring us a cup of tea, just pouring himself a cup of tea.
He's going to put too much milk into that. Watch him do it. See, there he is. He's done that. And can he be more restrained at the second go? Oh, no, he can't. No. Okay, you can have both of those. You can have both of those, Dan. Yeah.
Has he managed to do it without spilling it?
I'm hoping there's some tea in there with all that milk.
Hard taskmaster. But did you imagine anything else? And now here comes some more tea. Lovely.
Right.
Yes, facts to file.
All is right with the world. So, and when he ran over 2 miles, that was on good ground. So I can see it for him. Yeah. But it's different when you're sort of saying, I'm taking out this horse because the ground is not suitable for him. Yeah. And then broadening it out, as first Willie Mullins and then JP McManus did, into the preparation of the entire course for all horses. Is it up to the standard that they would require?
So on the podcast yesterday, Willie Mullins has started while you have your tea, on the podcast yesterday, he'd started to develop this theory that some of the Irish trainers weren't happy with the ground. Not him, by the way, at that point. And David Casey was saying, well, I think it'll be fine for Factor File, and Willie was saying he's a good moving horse, etc. So obviously by the time he'd got to you mid-afternoon, I wondered if he was then sort of taking on the role as sort of unofficial spokesperson for a lot of the Irish trainers. They were looking to him as a bit of a tribune to say, look, we're not really happy with the state of the ground. Can you say something? Because I didn't sense in the morning that he personally had been that dissatisfied by it. Is that, I don't know. I'm putting this out there.
Well, it certainly took me by surprise, because I was expecting a purely fact-to-file based reason as opposed to a more broad reason. So that did take me by surprise, but we weren't able to explore it further at the time with Willie Mullins because we were literally seconds before the stayers hurdle. Exactly. So then I went to speak for Racing TV to JP McManus to find out his view, and it was clear that it was something that he was thinking about earlier than Willie Mullins, and I think what he said it was put up for discussion between them all to talk about. But I've since heard last night, and again I need to firm all this up, that it's not just confined to the Willie Mullins camp. It is more broadly, as he was saying to you yesterday, that there are other Irish trainers and Irish-based owners who believe that they were bringing what they term as winter horses to the Cheltenham Festival, and they were not getting the ground that they were led to expect that they would, and that the scale of watering had not been such as they were expecting, and that would produce the ground that they were basing their decisions on.
And it's good to soften places on the chase course today after significant overnight rain. John Pullen had watered Wednesday into Thursday on the new course. The new course had also taken some watering despite an unsettled forecast last weekend.
Yeah.
I think he's been a bit hard done by it.
So do I. So let's talk about the backdrop to this. So let's see it from John Pullen's point of view. And unfortunately, again, because there was lots of news going on yesterday, I wasn't able to speak to John Pullen before the end of the Racing TV show. But because it's important that he puts his side of the story, we've had one of the wettest winters in history, in recent history on record. The water table's really high. The moisture content in the soil is really high. We've had one drying week. They've put some water on the new course on Monday. They've put some water on during the week on the course as well. We've had that rain overnight, which could have been up to 10 millimetres. And when you have that background history of the soil, that means that the ground can move greatly during that time. So there was that backdrop risk that John Pullen was having to deal with in terms of what would the ground have been for Gold Cup Day on the Friday. And we don't know yet how deeply the rain has got into the ground. We'll know more once we've got the times for the first couple of races.
There were hardly any non-runners, and it's like Willie hasn't pulled anything else out.
Yeah, so I probed that a bit with JP McManus as well. So I said, does this have any implications for your Gold Cup runners, in particular your Gold Cup title holder? And he was saying he'd think he'd take a chance, but a horse like Spallan's Tower, he wouldn't necessarily want to run on this kind of ground. And again, it's that intersection between what an individual horse might need and this more broader conversation that seems to have been opened out, and that's the bit that's going to run and run. I
think it is, and will do after today, I'm sure. Scratchy issue number 2. What would you like to put there? Nico de Boinville and Declan Quealy?
Yeah.
That handshake?
Yeah, and
we recreated that handshake at the end of yesterday's show. It's something along these lines, I think, wasn't it?
I've only seen the video once, but yeah.
Declan looked more committed to the handshake.
Well, we need to find out, and maybe we can do that during the course of this podcast. I'll text the BHA whether that the disciplinary process, which at the start of racing yesterday was ongoing, in that Declan Quealy had made the complaint about alleged racial slur. And Nico de Boinville hadn't had the chance to give his side of the story because when the Sue's inquiry was held into it, he'd already left the course. So the message that we were given yesterday morning was that this matter would be reconvened, that further interviews would take place, and it would be settled away from the course at headquarters of the BHA. I don't know whether what happened yesterday, which was obviously, I think it was useful, but it was also a bit stagey.
With Davy Russell as the arbiter.
Yeah, the peacemaker between the two. I think that was a good thing, because you didn't want that kind of bad feeling, particularly that ugly
Boutros Russell. I'm going to have to credit Dan Barber with this, because it was his line. It was too good to leave out.
Absolutely brilliant. Well done, Dan. Better than your tea. And it needed to be done. I think it needed to be done. But again, is the official process going to continue under power of its own?
He's going to have to withdraw his complaint, isn't he, if he wants to bury the hatchet?
But once it's sort of hit the oxygen of the public, it's on the BBC. The national news have focused on it. Yeah, I don't know. It becomes a bit difficult then to sort of step back from having made an allegation that serious, because it's serious either way you look at it. If you make the allegation, obviously it's an incredibly serious matter. If you are accused of that, it's an incredibly serious matter.
Okay, and on a related theme, of course, this all took place because of the rubbish starts. So there's a review of the review.
Yeah.
So there's another review into the start. So they've announced that there's going to be a post-festival review in the middle of the week. So they've effectively insulated themselves, the BHA, from being questioned about it within the week. It's like, right, park this because we can deal with this further down the track. Actually, if you've still got 2 days of the festival to go, can't you actually put measures in place to make sure the starts are less crap than they were at the beginning of the week?
And also talk about it, because as you say, it's not just insulated themselves from that, it's insulated themselves from having to have a conversation about it. I mean, this time last year when we had repeated trouble with the start, Sean Parker and Jerry Seville came out, and the starter came out and talked to us, Sean Parker, the head of stewarding at the BHA, and there was an interview conducted, and that was out in the open and publicly conducted. Here we've got a situation whereby the starts continued to be difficult under a different starter, Will Jordan, yesterday, which was always the plan, by the way. That wasn't as a result of what happened on day one and day two. The problem has continued, and yet earlier that morning I'd asked the BHA whether they would put up a representative to talk about this issue, and they referred me to the review of the review, and in effect said that they weren't going to push anyone forward. And one of the complaints from
some serious yes minister overtones here, aren't there?
Well, one of the complaints from the participants is that it's always them that have to face the music
because they get suspensions.
Yeah,
and there've been a number dished out this week.
Yeah, absolutely, and I do see that. Obviously, there's also an internal process, but the difference with that is you never get to see if internally people involved in the sport in that side of the sport are disciplined or face questions. You never get to see that. Whereas for the participants, this is played out absolutely in public, and they have to come. I mean, Nico de Voidville had to talk about the allegation made against him yesterday. They cannot avoid the press. They cannot avoid being able to make statements in public. And meanwhile, the BHA are able to hide in that room just outside the stewards' room and not talk about this. And I think that's not right. And I often have a great deal of sympathy for the BHA. I do think it's the right thing to have a review of the review, but to say and we're not talking about it while all of this is going on, I think that's an imbalance of power. You had just 6 jockeys who weren't even on the track properly prior to the MGM handicap hurdle, and they've made their statements. That's a scenario whereby I would suggest there's going to have to be a very good reason why the starting team weren't at fault there. But yet, when the jockeys are at fault, as you say, they get a ban, and they have to talk about it.
And they're under a lot more sustained pressure through the course of the 4 days. Why is it that the subject of horses peaking at the Cheltenham Festival in handicaps when they haven't necessarily shown their best in qualifying races during the course of the season is a much hotter one now than it has been in the past, when you can think of handicap plots dating back 40, 50, 60 years at the Cheltenham Festival? Is it just because the best exponents of it are just too good at it?
No, I think it's because the public can see more. I think there's more. I mean, if you go back years and years, you couldn't pore over races from every angle at home. You didn't have analysts pointing out such instances evidently. So that, I think that's the fundamental difference, isn't it? It's access. It's the democratization of information, which makes holding a position whereby you're having a handicap plot, inverted commas, more difficult to sustain.
But isn't it the case also, Supremely West has been favourite for the Pertemps forever, and Dan Skelton's told everyone, this is a plot for the Pertemps, by the way. Yeah. Here we go. We're plotting this one for the Pertemps, and here it is, bolting up by miles. And you don't have to be a very clever punter to be launching into him yesterday. So isn't that the absolute end process of that democratization? I'm not asking you to suggest that's the way horses should be campaigned. I'm just saying, isn't that where we've got to?
That's one point, and another point is, and I don't want to make this just about Dan Skelton, but he has had 2 high-profile examples of this week in Madara and Supremely West. But there have been other horses that have been campaigned in a way that maybe not as obviously as those 2. But have been campaigning in a way to peak at the festival in a way that people who might have backed the horse on the day earlier in the season might not have been entirely satisfied with if they were unaware.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use a couple of Skelton examples as the example, but this is a broader point I'm making. But the difference between Supremely West and Madara is that in Supremely West's case, when Harry Skelton opted to go down the inside and was asked for an explanation by the stewards.
Yeah, this was
in
November?
Yeah.
When all the jockeys were coming around the outside on the day, because that was where the better ground was, he chose to stay down the inside, and the stewards held an inquiry into why he'd gone round the inside with Gowl Road, right?
Yeah, because his two other rides that he rode on the hurdle track, he rode around the outside, and his explanation was he wanted to go around the inside because he wanted to be prominent and yet get a lead, and Gowl Road was led round the inside. So there were 3 horses that actually took that route, and Supremely West was one of them. The stewards accepted that explanation. So the difference between that and Madara, where there is no mention in the stewards' report of the 2nd of February about Madara's run, and I would have said that was an obvious example whereby the stewards have asked questions. You can be satisfied with what the stewards did at Cheltenham about Supremely West because they asked a question, they got an answer which you can choose to believe or not, but which was an acceptable answer, and it is down for all punters to see. There was a running and riding inquiry into Supremely West, so the stewards have to a great extent done their job, but there wasn't for Madara.
Okay.
So what?
And you think there should have been?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And again, I make the point there might have been a very reasonable answer for it, but because the question wasn't asked, 1, we never got to find out what that answer was, and 2, it is not flagged for punters. So what punters really need is consistency here, and it goes to the heart of the credibility of the BHA. Is if something like that is happening, if it doesn't even occur to them to ask a question, then punters are not convinced that this sport is being properly regulated. And then the broader point. So yesterday, the thing about the festival is when you're doing the sort of post-race winning interviews, these loads of different things come up, and if you were at Stratford, I don't know, on a Monday, you could actually delve into them, but you're like, moving on to the next one, moving on to the next one, these things are often forgotten. Anyway, Ben Jones, after he won the Jack Richards I'll Meet You by the Sea, buried in that interview is the line where I asked him about whether he and Ben Pauling were concerned over the first 2 days that horses that they expected to run well had been beaten, and he said they're not really underperforming, it's just that better handicapped horses are beating us. This is the key point. We're running all year, running on our merits, winning races all year, and we've put them in the deep end. We're just getting caught out like that. He added, we don't have the number of horses to be able to essentially
game the system.
So my point is, if you're not going to have robust stewarding, and you are going to have more and more these sort of mega trainers who are able to move their pawns around the board, in Willie Mullins we're very used to it, and in Dan Skelton we're going to have to get increasingly used to it. They can afford to take a horse and go, that's the day there, and that's what I'm aiming for.
And we don't need to pick up much along the way.
That is a problem for day in, day out British racing. It's a problem. It just says to other outfits, smaller outfits, that's how you need to be successful. And if that's what's going to go on Monday to Sunday, all the way up to key events, then that is a massive problem for British racing. And rather than just sort of,
focusing on the narrow thing, you've got to broaden the point out.
Absolutely, and I think it's really fundamental.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting debate. And that's why I began by asking the question, what's different now? And I think you've just answered the question.
Thank you. I've been giving it some thoughts.
My great pleasure. Right, Dan Barber will be along in a minute, but Charlotte was out and about this morning, and she caught up with Patrick Mullins, who was out exercising the 4th and final day horses.
Here we are on Friday morning, the final day of the Cheltenham Festival, and joined by Patrick Mullins alongside his mount for the Triumph. And he's trying to get in on the interview. Patrick, just tell us a bit about him.
Yeah, upon the Sherry, he's by Shandacock. He was second in Ortoy, second in Proactif. And, I think Proactif was ridden very much in the box seat that day. This fellow was a 50-to-1 shot out the back, finished strongly. I'm not sure he's as far behind Proactif as his price might suggest.
And Selma Davari, she's another one from your yard. She looks to be the most fancied runner. Do you think the market's got it the right way round?
Well, yeah, look, she obviously has huge ability, but she's not going to be an easy ride. She wears that hood, she has to be dropped out, and it's going to make Paul's life difficult. I was maybe a little surprised he didn't go for Macho Man, who I think will be quite straightforward, and again, I don't think he's too far behind Proactif, but Paul doesn't get it wrong very often.
Set to test himself, and you've got Absurd in the county hurdle. Legend, he's won here before. We haven't seen him since the Melbourne Cup. How's he getting on?
Yeah, he's in good form. Look, he came here last year off straight from the Melbourne Cup, and the winner was Cargeezy. The second was Nadawi, won the Galway Hurdle. Absurd was third, and Ethical Diamond won a Breeders' Cup. He was fourth, so it was a fair race. He's a good bit higher now because he won in Plumpton. I think he could be 10 pounds higher nearly than what he was here last year, so it won't be easy, but I'm looking forward to riding him.
And we've had plenty of rain here overnight. Will that go against him?
With Absurd, yeah, I think probably the better the ground. But I think the year he won here, it wasn't particularly good. I don't see it going to be, it's not going to be soft ground. I mean, it was so quick during the week. It'll just be nice ground. I don't think it'll be a huge disadvantage to him. And
you've got Espresso Milan in the Albert Bartlett, 2 from 2. Looks a horse with a lot of potential.
Yeah, look, he's going to have to step up a lot on his Turlish run. I think really he's a good ground chaser for the future. But I'm hoping to get a good spin off him, and obviously they've been lucky colours to me in the past. They have indeed, Nick Rocket's colours. And just an update on him, how's he getting on? He's good, he's entered in Down Royal on Tuesday, so he has to run there to qualify for National. He'll run there, he's going to come on for it, but that should have him spot on for the National, all being well. And you'll be wrapping up the week aboard Statler in the Hunter Chase. I'm sure he's a horse you're incredibly fond of. You won the National Hunt Chase, yeah, on him a few years ago. He is getting on in age, but does he still retain plenty of ability? He does. You know, I rode him in Fakenham, and now look, he's going to have to jump and travel a lot sharper than he did in Fakenham and Hereford. It's a big step up. You know, he was retired. He was doing the racehorse retiring classes, and But you know, I think they felt he was in such good form and well himself. So, look, he's got first-time tongue trap, first-time cheap pieces. I should get a good spin off him, but he'd want to improve a lot from Fakenham. And it's been a fabulous week for Team Mullins so far. Obviously, champion hurdle, champion chase. Can Gaelic Warrior top it off in the Gold Cup for you all? Yeah, I think he can. You know, I think he's in great form at home. I think the track layout with the constant inside running rail and the strip of fresh ground will make sure they all race quite tight. That'll give him plenty of cover. I think the race setup, you know, Haughty Claire's is going to go a strong gallop, and there's a few there that'll keep him honest. I think he'll settle. I think he stays. The bit of rain will be no harm. He'd probably prefer it softer, but he's not a bad horse on good ground. I think he's the best horse in the race, and with a little bit of luck, I think he can fill Gallop Deschamps' boots. Fingers crossed. Patrick, thanks so much. Good luck today. Great. Thanks very much.
Patrick Mullins there, thanks to Charlotte out and about as always this morning. Lydia is now joined by Dan Barber. We're both joined by Dan Barber from Timeform, as I have been every day. Welcome back.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Been good fun, hasn't it?
Excellent. What have you got for me today? Home by the Lee?
Yeah, I thought we should nutshell that. Record-breaking achievement yesterday. One of those records that you probably don't want in some ways. You want to win a festival race at the first attempt. But he surpassed the Fellow, who was a name you raised, and Sea Pigeon as the first horse in Cheltenham history to win a festival championship race at the 5th attempt after 4 previous failed
At the same race?
At the same race,
yes.
Yeah.
Because David Cleary came along, didn't he, and said Desert Orchid was here for the 6th time when he finally won the Gold Cup.
Yeah, after runs in champion hurdles and Arkles, but the common thread here is it was the same race and just 5 goes. And what I was keen to remark in the Timeform report was what that does say about this horse is incredible longevity, because most horses aren't running at their first festival until they're 5 or 6, and he's there at 11 and he's had the durability, the consistency, just about the enthusiasm sometimes.
This season, yes.
Yeah, to still be coming back aged 11, and he's an object lesson in the difference a pair of blinkers can make.
Yeah, and there is definitely something in the theory that old boys like that definitely find it easier on slightly better ground as they get older, and they don't want to be slogging through the mud.
I draw the honourable gentleman's attention to Gorham Park the time before, where honestly, I don't often believe that if this was Britain, would you be racing?
But it was unraceable.
Yeah.
But in a scenario like this, it's a different ball game altogether. He never hit the flat spot, did he? Not really.
The move at the top of the hill was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was race winning for me.
And things unfolded against, because really what happened in that race is an overall point. Look, how much can you read into the Stayers Hurdle when all the field are still there on the home bend because the gallop hasn't been true and it's messy late on? But what did get a bit of a kick in was the line of British trials or grade ones in their own right. None of them stood up. The likes of Impose Trois, Machan 2, Honesty Policy, even who did best of them who'd run in a trial over here. I don't want to say trial because they're grade ones in their own right. But the blend of horses in the finish was 2 horses who'd been here 12 months ago and run okay, and obviously Bollinger won the race. You had a horse who'd been a regular in it in Home by the Lee, and then Cabrel de Mathan, who's he should be in the dictionary alongside what does a blatant non-stayer looks like. If you're teaching somebody to race read, this is a horse that hasn't got the stamina for a certain trip.
And what else has worked out really badly this week?
The champion bumper form of 12 months ago. Bambino Fever was the latest. I'm going to just read these out, even though it looks bad in vision. 5 horses from the champion bumper have reappeared at the festival this season. Form figures 16, 7, 5, 13 and PU.
Yuck.
And it wasn't long ago that you were hearing previews where everybody was extolling the virtues. Look how many winners have come out of this champion bumper. It's an amazing piece of form. And quite apart from the fact quite a few haven't made it, the likes of Idaho Sun, the ones that have, capped probably by Bambino Fever because she was one of the shortest prices of the week, did not live up to expectations.
You got a bit of county hurdle miscellany for me.
I have indeed. That's exactly the phrase I've used too.
I know, I read it over your shoulder.
Miscellany.
I thought it was a good word, so I'd use it.
I'd say miscellany. That's interesting.
You're probably right.
I'm sure I'm not.
Right, I'm going to... I was waiting for... I felt we had to save this until Doddy the Great had run in the Stayers Hurdle yesterday. That's maybe a slight insight into what this is. But Cargazy joined this list with her win in the Arkle on Tuesday. Rooster Booster, Contraband, Big Bucks, Don Poley, Presenting Percy, Top of the Game, Black Tears, Edward Stone, Sire de Burley, and I Know the Way You're Thinking. Any ideas?
Oh my word.
Sorry, say that again. I was too busy reminiscing.
Yeah.
The horses you were giving me.
That list of...
Yeah.
Go on, read them out again.
Fabled list. Rooster Booster, Contraband, Big Bucks, Don Poley, Presenting Percy, Top of the Game, Black Tears, Edward Stone, Sire de Burley, I Know the Way You're Thinking. They all did something.
They all went,
Two different festival races?
Yeah, they all went on to win a different festival race.
Of a kind. They all won a Grade 1 at the festival the year after running a handicap at the previous year's festival.
Okay.
And Cargazy became the latest to do
Can I
that.
add Catabatic to that list?
If you like, yeah, that was...
Grand Annual followed by the champion.
Yeah, this was, we were doing this century.
Edredon Bleu?
It's a bit like when the Premier League only began in
Bleu.
1993.
Who needs best mate when you got Edredon Bleu?
Direct Route didn't need him anyway. And, yeah, well, that's me done for the week.
That's it? Who wins the Gold Cup?
I Know the Way You're Thinking.
Oh!
That was something I was going to mention, actually. Two sorts of...
A victory for...
You just tossed that in there.
For the rest of the season's horse racing.
Two sort of subtle market moves. Well, this was maybe the third one. Market moves this week that's not really been heralded. The strength behind Ilete Tomps, who came good.
Yeah,
and,
Willie told everyone it would win.
Yeah, and then the quiet strength behind Ballyburn, who went from being a short price favourite.
Yeah,
Probably should have won.
16s and 20s for most
Paul
of the league.
Tannard wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, he went off 11-2, and I know the way you're thinking into 8-1.
Isn't a victory for I Know the Way You're Thinking today just it just makes it fits with the rest of the festival, doesn't it? It just isn't it?
Does.
Isn't it the arch conclusion of it all? And Gavin Cromwell's horses are all running well.
I know they are running a lot better than they were, and also the Gold Cup, it is a testing race. Very few horses can reproduce their form year on year, but what you want from a Gold Cup winner is at least to be able to understand what is going on during the course of the season. And last season he was improving all the time. His jumping was a bit ropey, it got a bit better. You suddenly got a huge amount of confidence from Gavin Cromwell when he was supplemented. And this time around, it's not really been like that. There's rumours going around there's been an issue with his back and that he's had some sort of treatment for that since he fell and lay there for a while at the last fence in the Irish Gold Cup. And the way he jumped prior to that, running down fences to the right, looking like he was feeling some sort of...
You're going to know early, aren't you, today?
Well, exactly. But, if that is the case, that and obviously you can't be across everything, but I haven't yet seen that question being asked and it being answered, whether that is something that's happened. It's once you take over, once you own and you train a Gold Cup horse, you've got a responsibility to the sport.
Elsewhere, I haven't asked you what's going to win the Gold Cup.
Well, I've copped out slightly and put up 2 in my column for Racing TV Road to Cheltenham column.
I think that's fine. You've had a good week. So.
Gaelic Warrior and Django Bay. I can't see the winner coming, notwithstanding miracles, happening. Langer Dan appearing bathed in light at the top of the hill, and I Know the Way You're Thinking powering to victory. Aside from that possibility, Django Bay and Gaelic Warrior, I can't see the winner coming from outside that.
Wow. Okay. I'm still clinging desperately to Spillane Tower. hoping there was enough rain last night.
Well, he's totally unexposed as a stayer. And I think he will be underestimated because I think people perceive that not enough rain has fallen. I think he could be a player. I don't dismiss that at all.
Wow. Everything's a mudlark now, apparently. Oh, well. We'll find out whether Gaelic Warrior is really a mudlark. Gaelic Warrior's not a mudlark. Where did that come from?
Of course he isn't a mudlark. It's ridiculous.
Is he a non-stayer?
Glided past Grey Dawning like he was standing still in that bowl at Aintree last year. 3 miles, 1.5 on good to soft ground. Time 7 seconds outside. Oh, you've got some news.
I have. It's about. We had the question about whether the Declan Queeley allegation and the inquiry that was processed that was sparked by that is ongoing because of the capital T handshake, capital H.
Yes.
Robin Mansley from the BHA has come back to us with, yes, it is still ongoing, and he says, I should say, Robin, apologies, a BHA spokesman, that was a genuine slip. When an allegation has been made, it must be investigated. The inquiry process has begun, the evidence is being gathered, and once started, the process needs to be completed. We will continue to gather and consider any relevant evidence as part of this.
So you can't withdraw a complaint.
I think that's right. I mean, this is a serious complaint.
But you can
imagine being the person who's accused of that.
If you allege assault, for example, and go to the police, you can withdraw that, can't you? And that's it. They drop the charges.
But it hasn't been played out in the public domain.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's an interesting distinction, isn't it? Yeah.
But I mean, again, you make the allegation. It's a serious allegation. Should be listened to. But you have the allegation made against you. That is a serious allegation,
and
so
you want that process to be seen through.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Okay, so that'll just nice rumble along.
And it
nicely.
should, to be fair.
Yeah. Where were we? Back to the racing. Other strong fancies today?
Well, I mean, we should take the hint that the only handicap ride that Paul Townend has taken all week is Carbo in the county hurdle. He hasn't ridden any other handicap. Hasn't ridden in the handicaps at all, apart from here.
Was the same last year as well? Pretty sure it might have been his only handicap ride of the week.
Sure, no, he wasn't. He was on Cargeezy.
Also, both of them.
Yeah, and absurd from 2 years ago. You mean?
Yeah, from 2 years ago. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm not sure about that, but I'll have to go back and check.
Just cherry pick them. We'll still be top jockey, won't we?
It'll be Mullins or Skelton in the county hurdle, either which way.
I think that Gavin Cromwell, Hello Neighbour, might run well. I would be interested in the times from the Triumph. If there's been too much rain, I think that might tip the accent onto stamina a bit too much.
Does Mullins win the Triumph with something?
Oh, he's going to try really hard to, isn't he? I think I quite like Maestro Conti.
Yeah, ditto. I thought it was simpatico. Yeah. I thought, again, another race that appears to be Mullins versus Skelton, but I was with Skelton in the mare's chase.
A panic attack?
Yeah, but having seen, and the EPF's early position figures are backing this up, 1s and 2s, horses that are first handful, are just dominated.
Yeah,
dominated the chases all week. So I think it would be remiss to not save on Diva Luna given her run style.
I think
Diva Luna is the danger to panic attack personally. I think that Dino Blue is too short. This is a much deeper race than last year, and the price isn't much different to last year. And this season she has made it an ingrained habit to throw in an error of heart-stopping magnitude suddenly out of nowhere. And that was something she did a couple of seasons ago. She was better last season, and now it just seems to be in her rider. So I'd be concerned about that.
My other point with her is, it's not like for like, and probably Dino Blue would have won the Paddy Power Gold Cup, but would Dino Blue have then gone and won a Coral Gold Cup? I just think she's got a lot of really commendable attributes, and as a fan of Skelton in the without Mullins market, I could really do with it.
In a parallel universe or in another era, Panic Attack could be running in, I don't know, a Ryanair or a Gold Cup this week, rather than in a mare's chase, I'd say.
That's true.
The daughter of Camford Cliffs.
And she still needs about another 20 to get out of the Grand National to get into that, weirdly. It's extraordinary.
It's been an extraordinary season, and let's hope we might see her in something like that next season.
Yeah. I think we're there. I think we are there.
You're not bothering with the Fox Centres, the Martin Park. What am I missing?
Yeah, well, no, I want you to give me the winners of them all.
Oh, right,
I want you to give them while you think about the winners of those. I was going to actually ring Ben Pauling just to celebrate your victory with Meet Me by the Sea yesterday and ask him about the Jukebox Man and how he's doing.
And Diva Luna.
Oh yes, of course, and Diva Luna, who we've just been talking about. There we are. You're going to see me at the moment. Oh, that's no good. Come on, Ben. Let's have you.
Too much entertaining.
Too much entertaining. No, we're going to get binned.
It's about time that happened. It's remarkable
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
strike rate at getting people to answer.
It
it.
is
and
usually
he's
'cause-
also-
usually
he's
'cause it's
also-
pre-recorded, yeah.
Exactly. He's also so reliable.
I think it's nice to see how the sausage is made, as they say.
Yeah. Well,
Behind the scenes.
I'm afraid
Too much gristle
the sausage.
on this occasion.
The sausage is going back in the whatever
Oh,
it goes back into. Oh dear. Hey, maybe edit that bit. I don't know. That was Ben Pauling, ladies and gentlemen. Can you give me the rest of the winners, please?
Oh, God, let's just linger on this moment for a
No, let's not. You've done the Triumph Hurdle.
the Albert
You've done the Gold
Bartlett.
Cup. You've done the County Hurdle.
Albert Bartlett.
You haven't done the Albert Bartlett, in which I fancy King's Bucks.
Yes, well, see, I did fancy King's Bucks
Yep.
and Freedom Air as a long-running sort of angle on this, and I was. You have to tip the morning before races. My Friday column, I have to have finished before Thursday racing happens.
Same with me.
Yeah, so you'll know that the frustration is you then don't know. Ben,
he's back.
Ben,
He's
excellently,
back.
the
Ben
sausage
Pauling.
is back.
He's back. There he is. There he is. He's live on the Nick Luck Daily podcast.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ben. How are you doing? Lydia's with me.
Good morning. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Lydia.
Hello.
Good.
Hi.
Right. So well done yesterday with Meet Me by the Sea. All good.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Thank you very much. He's good as gold this morning. So no, we're all happy. Are we actually live? Are we doing this?
We are live. Yeah. Yeah.
Marvellous. Are you going to ask me an interesting question?
I wouldn't say so, Ben. No.
Right. Go on then, Lydia. You ask him an interesting question, and I'll just hold the microphone.
Well, obviously, we want to know about how the Jukebox man is, and I know you've probably heard this question before, so it probably doesn't qualify for it being interesting. The rain has fallen, extra accent on stamina. Thinking back to the closing stages of the Albert Bartlett, I know he'd pressed on 2 out. Are you confident about his stamina for the extra 2.5 furlongs?
Yeah, I think I am. Obviously, the rain has come last night, but it's only going to. I mean, if we could be given good soft ground in a Gold Cup, I think we'd have all taken it. It's hardly an extreme, but he's in good order. We're going to have to ride him slightly differently, aren't we, to the way we rode him in the Albert Bartlett? And that's the only bit of form that says he doesn't stay. I think he looked like a stayer in the King George, so I'm very hopeful he'll get the trip. And I suppose, in my mind, there isn't any doubts, but come 4 o'clock this afternoon, we'll find out if I'm right or wrong.
Now, you have been tipping Mondui Boy in the Albert Bartlett quite extensively. Is your confidence now as high as it was at the beginning of the week?
Yeah, I really like the horse. I think he could be very good, and he just came out of Ascot better than any horse I've ever had come out of a race. He just literally came alive, and he's a great big gorgeous individual that just was always a little bit of a sort of quieter type at home and just did what he did. He's actually looks like he's come alive and might have a bit more tactical speed, so I'm quite excited about him. Yeah.
Diva Luna's obviously in quite deep against some good mares in that mare's chase. Why have you campaigned her quite lightly in the build-up to this?
So she gave us
Oh, I think we've lost him.
No, that was a good
We've
question
lost
as
him.
well.
Lydia actually approved of the question and we lost you. No, I can't let.
We'd have been fine. Are you back with me?
Yeah, back with you. Yeah, no, I didn't get any of that answer. And Lydia said it was a good question too.
Charlie just turned my car on, so he went on to hands-free. The answer was she was all guns blazing for the Scilly Isles, and unfortunately got a bang. That was her main target of the season. We always wanted to come here to the Mare's Chase as well. When she gave herself a bang, I wondered whether we'd even get her there, and thankfully we have. She's in good form. Yes, she's only had 2 runs over fences. It's probably as good a Mare's Chase as we've seen for a very long time. So it's going to be tough to win, but she seems well.
You've got another runner in the Albert Bartlett as well, Kikor La, who didn't quite pass muster when you upped him in grade last time. And what makes you think that he's worthy of a place in this lineup?
So he was very, very good first couple of runs, and he just didn't go a yard at Doncaster, and I'm happy to draw a line through that. I'm not under any illusion of, once you've been found out in a grade 2, it's probably a stiff ask going to the Albert Bartlett, but I think the conditions will suit him better today, and I think he's one of those horses that'll just, if he gets in a rhythm, he could run really well. I do honestly believe he'll be a really nice staying chaser. He's a great, big, rangy, galloping type, but we'll see how he handles the undulations, and hopefully he gives his owners a good day.
Excellent, Ben. Thanks so much. Good luck today.
Thanks, Ben. Good luck.
Thanks, later.
Bye. There we are. How were those questions in the end? Okay, did I warm to my task?
Yeah, well done. You did.
Yeah, good.
It's good.
Right. Anything else for me?
Right, so I hadn't got the end of the Albert Bartlett. I like
No.
the two Henrys. Yesterday, I was thinking after race one, okay, so the yard isn't particularly in form, and then bang, here comes Hartwood and Bob Ollinger as well. So I think they could run well, having backed away for them. I ended up going towards the passing wife. Now, I imagine that Gavin Cromwell, the horse must be working well, clearly, because else he wouldn't have supplemented for the Albert Bartlett. Also, he was thinking about the Martin Pike, for which he was qualified. Maybe with the faster conditions, he was thinking that might put the horse a bit on his head. So perhaps the rain, isn't necessarily hugely helpful for the wider case, but I don't think this horse likes good ground. I do think he wants a trip, and if you go back to his form against the Devil You Know, which is wrapped up with Dr. Steinberg as well, then this horse is the overpriced horse of that particular very strong pattern of form lines.
Okay, so Albert Bartlett done, County done, Mare's Chase done, Gold Cup done.
Fox Hunters is
I don't know.
No, neither do I. I mean, Panda Boy is clearly obvious. I mean, he was a very talented horse under rules, normal rules, not hunter chase
They'll
rules.
crack on with it as well, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And and he's got John Gleeson on board as well, trained by Martin Brassel. There's a lot to like, isn't there? I will be rooting for Music Drive, who ran fourth in the race last year for Kelly Morgan and has since won the Jonathan Neeson Memorial Cup here at Cheltenham.
Yeah, I thought the top one was the other interesting British one. One of the many Joe O'Shea's, Barton Snow. It's a question of whether he stays, which is not guaranteed. But if the ground dries a little bit, he's very interesting. And the Martin Pike.
Yeah, so that's difficult. So last year I backed and tipped Act of Authority, and he finished second to Woodhoo.
This is going to be Ollie Murphy's winner, isn't it?
I hope so. I really do hope so. I mean, it's very rarely that he gets the set of circumstances that this horse needs to show his best. First time cheek pieces, I think, is going to help. So it could well be. I think he's going to run really, really well. And we should just mention Woodhoo. Woodhoo, what a fabulous mare she is. Still don't know how good she is. Still don't know that.
Well, she'd hopefully have another crack at Lossiemouth before the
I
end of
hope
the
so.
season.
Well, it depends though, doesn't it? I mean, will it be her or By Today's Ahead who goes to Aintree over 2.5 miles?
I think it'll be her.
I hope so. I think she deserves it. And the other one is obviously Quelle Histoire, one of the conditional rider stories of the season over in Ireland. Michael Keneally booked on Quelle Histoire, who's got some top-class novice herding form for Willie Mullins last season.
11-10 in the Pressbury Cup at the moment.
Yes, I know. Hasn't Britain done well? I mean,
stand by for another 18-10 finish.
Well, they were talking about. I mean, even so, that is better. It feels like a proper competition as it should do. And which is much better. And I was thinking that growing confidence amongst the sort of the British contingent was maybe a year ahead of itself, and I think they were more right than I was.
See how the handicap graded race split lands up at the end of the day, I guess.
Yeah, I get
There's
that.
going to be some more. There's going to be more bitching about Irish handicappers, isn't there?
You're not going to shift that straight away. I mean, we've just talked about British handicappers as well.
We didn't even put that in the scratchiness at the beginning of the show. You can put that one in.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to end on a low note.
No, don't.
It's going to be a great Gold Cup day.
It's going to be a fabulous. I mean, look at it. It's beautiful, and our Gold Cup is incredibly competitive and high class. It's not. I don't mean competitive in the way that they say when a race is competitive but not classy. It's both.
All right, that's us done. That was Friday the 13th. We're going to review it all after the weekend. Hope you've enjoyed the week here at Cheltenham. You've been listening to Nick Luck Daily. Thanks for listening. This edition has been brought to you by Timeform, your trusted source for racing data and analysis, by Total Performance Data, the global leader in live horse racing data, and by FitzDares, laying some of the world's largest sporting wagers since 1882.